This final presentation is going to be done by someone who likes to be referred to as Comrade, an ace journalist, senior broadcaster, social activist, and our own Uncle Kwesi Pratt Jnr. Give it up for him.
Well, comrades and friends, this afternoon we have had a variety of speakers. We've had my own friend and comrade Bernard Mona, astute politician who has given us a political angle. We've also had a financial expert with so many degrees that I lost count, also giving us his angles as well. And then we've had an ICT expert. What do I have to say? Comrades and friends, I'd like to assure you that I have very, very little to say. I like to put everything that has been said into a perspective that makes everything very, very clear for all of us. You know, one of the problems we have in this country is what some have described as political tribalism. It is perhaps one of the most dangerous things that can happen to any country. Political tribalism occurs when matters go before Parliament and the merits of the matters are completely discarded. When matters come before us for decision-making and common sense is thrown out of the window, and everything and anything is simply reduced to a competition between political parties. There are some issues that go beyond the political divide, and this is one of those issues that goes beyond the political divide. We should take positions on this matter not because we are members of the New Patriotic Party. We should take positions on this matter not because we are members of the Convention People's Party. And we should take positions on this matter not because we are members of the Eagle Party or the People's National Convention. We should take positions on this matter simply because it makes sense or it doesn't make sense. That is what we have to do. So the matter we are discussing is contentious, but the contention is between no sense and common sense. The contention is between what works and what does not work. The contention national integrity and disintegrity in this nation. These are the contentious issues in this matter. Now, comrades, the first time I heard that, in fact, the same day that I heard that the Electoral Commission was planning to foist the new voters register on us, was the same day I read statements by two of the commissioners. And the two commissioners had argued that the voters register is very credible. And I asked myself, if the voters register is very credible, why change something which is credible? And up to today, nobody has provided the answer as to why we should change a very credible register. Indeed, they did not say that the register was credible. They said that the register was very credible. And yet, we are being called upon to spend close to 1 billion Ghana cedis changing something which is credible, for something whose credibility we cannot determine today. This certainly does not fall into the category of common sense. It falls into the category of no sense. Now, comrades, there's a history to this whole debate, and we should not forget that history. It is not the history of the 1940s. It is not the history of the 1920s. It is not the history of the 1800s. It's the history of 2015 and 2016. We cannot forget the history of 2015 and 2016. Now, all of you will recall that the New Patriotic Party came up and said that we needed a new voters register before the last elections. And they argued forcefully that if we did not get a new voters register, the elections will be rigged. We went through that election and their president won with a register that we did not change. Did they rig the election? We should not forget that at a certain point in that debate, His Excellency Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia held a press conference and actually indicated that the voter register was full of the names of foreigners, especially coming from Togo. Indeed, he said that they had only done a preliminary verification of the register, and that if they did a lot more work, we will find hundreds of thousands of names of Togolese on our voters register. Alhaji His Excellency the Vice President Bawumia was challenged, and up to today, that evidence has not been provided. Now, it is significant for us also to note that as soon as that evidence was abandoned, a new scheme was hatched. And that new scheme simply said that there were too many names of the voters register which got there using the National Health Insurance card as the base card. And because the National Health Insurance card could be available to any and everybody, the register was not reliable. This matter went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court made a determination, and eventually we had the voters register, which brought His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to power as president. During the 2016 elections, it was obvious to all of us as observers and citizens that the New Patriotic Party was pushing for the compilation of a new voters register. And I had no doubt whatsoever that if the New Patriotic Party won the election, we will have the current situation on our necks. And like magic, we do have that situation now. Now, you may dismiss this point, but please don't, because it's a very important point. Now, listen. We have an electoral commission whose members are publicly and openly showing their hatred for political parties and contestants in the next election. You had a deputy commissioner actually make the point that the NDC cannot be trusted and that the NDC wants to subvert the current democratic order and to plunge this country into chaos. That's a serious statement which has to be looked at and examined in the light of current developments. Because if you actually believe that one of the parties likely to contest the 2020 elections is a virus, that one of the parties has an agenda to destroy Ghana, why wouldn't you do everything and anything possible to prevent that party from winning elections? So this is the problem. we have a situation in which we cannot vouch for the independence of some of the commissioners. Only recently, there was a debate about the referendum which had been proposed, the December 17th referendum and so on. And again, a member of the commission came out and stated his clear support for the government's position as opposed to the position taken by the opposing parties. Now, if you have these indicators, it is difficult to accept any and everything that the Electoral Commission proposes to do. And I think we should bring this into the conversation. Now, comrades, all of us know the conditions in which we live in Ghana. And I have repeatedly said that there are many people in Ghana today who actually live in the Stone Age, and I'm not exaggerating. If you go to our rural communities, you will find people who actually grind their grains on stone, with stone. You will find people in our communities who walk barefooted to their farms every morning, susceptible to snake bites, to scorpion bites, and so on, who continue to feed us using the cutlass and the hoe. Indeed, you find people in our community who have no electricity and who would never in their lifetime use what we call the blender in our homes. In fact, they cannot even dream about using the blender. This is the condition of our people. There are many workers in Ghana today that they are full pay. If they pay for transportation to work and back home, nothing is left for water, for food, or for anything. There are so many people in our community today who are living on less than 500 cedis a month. The roads in our communities are in a deplorable state. You saw the pictures of the children in what has come to pass for a school, sitting on the bare floor without books, without pencils, without anything. We know the conditions in which our people live. Indeed, all the governments we have had over the last 20 years have told us that the national revenue situation is exceedingly worrisome. Indeed, we are told that between 60 and 70% of national revenue is expended just on paying the salaries of 600,000 workers out of a population of about 30 million. All the borrowing that is being done is because the figures don't add up. This morning, I don't know how many of you have read a story on the front pages of one of our newspapers, which is a rebuttal by the International Monetary Fund of some of the figures that we have been fed with. And they're simply saying that the value of the cedi will continue falling, and that some of the figures presented by the finance minister in the budget are fake figures, and so on. This is the International Monetary Fund. It's not me. And just this morning, it has made that disclosure. So if you have a situation where your revenue doesn't add up, when your deficit is rising, when your local currencies are collapsing and so on, any sensible politician, any sensible public administrator will begin to think about how to make prudent use of our resources. And that is part of this argument. If we have a register which is credible, why spend close to 1 billion Ghana cedis on producing another register when you have all of these problems on your head? It simply doesn't make sense. It doesn't fall into the category of common sense. It falls into the category of no sense. There are many things which should also worry us, and they should worry us very, very deeply. Indeed, if the Electoral Commission had decided that it needed to compile a new voters register, why did we spend so much money on the reopening of the register before coming to do a new register? Because if we wanted to do a new register, we could have done a new register which would have captured all those who were not on the register already. But we did open the register, brought in people onto the register, and now we say we are going to throw it away and do another one. I mean, incredible. Really incredible. But you see, in this country, many incredible things happen. I mean, only a couple of weeks ago, all of us heard that we're going to introduce new denominations of our currency. And everybody was wondering why. Why new denominations? Have some people made so much money that it doesn't fit into their pockets, that they want to create new denominations which will be easier for them to carry and so on. But the point is that a few weeks after that, we are now announcing that we are not even going to use the CD anymore. That we are going to use something called Yoko, Echo, or whatever it is. So, comrades, if we are going to use Echo, Yoko, or whatever code, what is the sense in printing more currency when we are going to throw it away? It is that same logic, that same sense, which is feeding into this nonsensical agitation for a new voters register. The technical people have spoken. I do not pretend to be a technical person. But you see, you have less than 10 months to an election. A lot of people think that we are going to have the elections in December, and therefore they think we have 12 months. We don't. The elections will take place on the 7th of December. So you don't have the whole of December. January is virtually gone, and so on. So practically, you have 10 months to an election. There are so many things that happen before elections, and you know them, so I'm not going to repeat them. In this 10-month period, we have decided to compile a new voters register. Of course, if you know the people who are doing these things, sometimes no sense can sound like sense. You know, who are these people doing these things? These are the people who are going to all kinds of fake prophets and fake bishops who are telling them that magic is the art of the possible. You understand? Who are telling us that the act of the impossible is possible. So they are confused. They are totally confused. I want to submit here and now that 10 months is not a sufficient period for compiling a new voters register. And that if we attempt to do it, we will throw the next elections into total chaos. And that, from the point of view of common sense, we should shelve this useless adventure of compiling a new voters register. Then, we have all heard the commissioners and their supporters, and they come to us and they say that, look, the Electoral Commission is an independent body. What does that mean? Nothing is more nonsensical than that claim that the Electoral Commission is an independent body. If you read the 1992 Constitution, the 1992 Constitution surely guarantees the Electoral Commission some measure of independence. That independence is not absolute independence. It is limited independence. It is partial independence. Common sense tells us that you cannot have a public institution which is independent of the peoples whose sovereign authority it exercises. Because if you have a situation where you have a public institution exercising independent authority above the sovereignty of the people, then they are beginning to play God. And that is dangerous for any democratic enterprise. So this Electoral Commission cannot hide about pretensions of independence to go against the will of the people of Ghana. Indeed, the commissioners themselves should remind themselves of how they got into office, because their predecessors were removed from office in spite of their independence. And their predecessors were removed from office because the 1992 Constitution recognizes that other institutions have more power than the commissioners. In Akan, they say that if you don't know death, look at sleep. I am passionately appealing to the commissioners to begin to look at sleep. They should open their eyes and look at sleep, because sleep sometimes resembles death. Comrades, we all went to the polls and voted. At the end of the day, the Electoral Commission declared His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo as President of the Republic, and we accepted. And he is President of the Republic. But even the President cannot do as he pleases, much more, much less those that he appointed. People should end these delusions of grandeur and so on, because they simply don't have that power. They are answerable to us, they will be answerable to us, and if they refuse to be answerable to us, we will remove them from their exalted position. Comrades, I have taken the trouble to look at previous election results. And I'm sure that those of you who have taken the trouble to look at previous election results will appreciate the fact that from 1992 up to today, there has not been any election, the result of which are foolproof. Take it from me and do the examination yourself. There have been many instances where in some regions and constituencies, the number of voters has exceeded the number of registered voters in all of our elections. And I speak the truth. Again, in the 2016 election, something happened. Something happened. We just decided to overlook it. Listen, at the end of the elections, some parliamentary candidates were declared as losers. All of the parliamentary candidates who were declared as losers, who called for a recount of the vote, were eventually declared winners. My question is a very simple one. If the whole election result had been recounted, what would have been the outcome? It's an important question. And I raise this question to emphasize the point that we have accepted election results after election results because of our commitment to peace, because we don't want this country to disintegrate, because we say that no matter what the fault may be with the process, if it is reasonably transparent and so on, we would accept it in order to prevent the Rwandan situation from happening in Ghana, in order to prevent situations elsewhere in the world from happening to Ghana. But let nobody take that for granted. Let nobody assume that we will forever accept every and anything. Because we have come to realize that this our acceptance of every and anything has consequences for all of us. So the time has come for the people of this country to insist on the true representation of the people. The time has come for the people of this country to insist that no rigging in an election is acceptable even if it constitutes 1% of the process. The time has come for us to insist that all public officials who have been charged with responsibility for conducting elections will do the right thing as we say it, not as they say it. Comrades and friends, as a fact, there have been many occasions when we have said no to aberrations in our political process. There have been many occasions when we have said that things are not being done right. We have demonstrated small, we've held press conferences small, we've done small things, and the authorities have continued to act with impunity. Today, let us all say in one loud voice that that era is over. Let us all make a loud statement that from today, no infraction will be tolerated. Let us make it clear that the people of this country insist on the right things being done, and the right things will be done, or God knows. Comrades, a demonstration has been announced for Tamale on Saturday. This will be the first mass manifestation of protest against the attempt to introduce a new register. And it is our duty as citizens who love our country, irrespective of our political party colors and so on, to fully participate in that demonstration to send a signal that we are not asleep, we are awake, and we are on the side of common sense. A few more demonstrations will be organized across the country. Let us all, in our numbers, participate in those manifestations. But demonstrations are not enough. We should use every and any means at our disposal to get public officials to do what the people of Ghana want. That is what is called accountability. That is what is called accountability. Accountability is for our public officials appointed and elected to do what we want. And if they don't do what we want, to punish them so severely that nobody would ever think of repeating their arrogance. That is accountability. So we should participate in the demonstrations, all right, but it shouldn't end there. We should call into all the radio stations and make our voices heard. We should participate on every platform available and make our voices heard. We should use our Instagram accounts, our Twitter accounts, our Facebook accounts. We should use WhatsApp. We should use anything we have to post this message. Whatever we do, the 2020 elections is an important phase in our struggle. If that elections is conducted freely and fairly, we must accept whoever is declared winner. But if that election is conducted in the koni-koni way we are beginning to see, we will not accept the result. Comrades and friends, this is not rabble-rousing. This is upholding the Constitution, because the Constitution enjoins all of us to make sure that nobody employs any hanky-panky way in assuming power in this country. That's a constitutional injunction. So what I'm saying is that let us uphold the 1992 Constitution and defend it to the hilt. And we can only uphold the 1992 Constitution and defend it to the hilt if we reject imposters, criminals, people who have hanky-panky ways of doing things, and so on. I am fully confident that if we organize enough and mobilize enough, the elections will be held on the basis of a true commitment to democracy in this country. And we should accept nothing less, or perhaps nothing more, than total victory for democracy in our country. I thank you all very much.